Hey everybody, Brian Leslie Fothery here. Welcome back to Family Secrets. We're on course 3, unit 3. We're talking about the secret to growing your marriage. We've given you a whole lot of things to look at to grow your marriage. Today the focus is on this particular unit is learning love languages and how to fill one another's love tanks up, both as husband and wife and as parents with your children as well.
Yeah.
So we want to talk to you about that. There's a great book that's a resource. We'll refer to it. You should get it if you don't have it and buy it and read it over and over and over and over again. Just refresh yourself from time to time. It's called The 5 Love Languages. It's by Dr. Gary Chapman. And it's a fantastic book. We've had it in our lives for a long, long time. He keeps revising it from time to time. There's five love languages for kids. There's 5 love languages for everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And they're all good.
It's all the same basic information. So.
Yeah, but we want to talk from the basic of the original book about 5 love languages. So I'm going to turn over to Leslie for a moment or 3 and let her talk to you about what the gifts are and what that means and how we apply that in our life, in our children's life.
Right. Okay, so in the book, Dr. Chapman talks about how each person has a love tank. And when your love tank is full, you operate your daily life in a much better way than when your love tank has been totally depleted.
Absolutely.
When it's full, you are happy, you're satisfied, you're content, you are able to interact with people in good ways.
Yeah.
When you get your love tank depleted, you become grumpy and grouchy, and you just are snappy. You just don't feel right, and nothing seems to be going right. It's just not. It's not a pleasant feeling when your love tank is depleted. You may not be able to identify that just yet, but after you listen to how we're going to do some explanation here, and then go ahead and get the book and read it. We really would love for you to read the book. You will get a better grasp of it, and you'll be able to tell, okay, I'm just feeling really low. I just don't have my love tank full. It's not, I need something. You'll just know that feeling of I need something. And so we're going to go ahead and go through what those love languages are. There is a love language that you tend to speak and one you tend to receive in, and most of the time they're the same thing. Every once in a while someone speaks one language and receives it in another language.
Absolutely.
And so you just have to kind of be able to identify that and see how that works. But let's just go through the basics, and then we're going to go back and talk through some of them in more detail. So there are 5 love languages. The first one is gifts. That means that you feel the most loved when someone is giving you a gift. When someone has thought of you, they've tied it up in a pretty package and brought you a gift, you are extremely happy, and it makes your day, and you smile, and it's refreshing to you, and that's you're speaking the gift love language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Physical touch is the people who like to hug, the people who like to have their back rubbed and scratched, and the people who like to hold hands, or they're very when they're talking to you, they lay their hand on you or whatever. Those are all they're reaching out to have physical contact in some way. Those are the people who speak physical touch as a love language. Quality time is the third one. And those are the people who really feel the most loved when you take time out of your busy schedule to be part of theirs. If you are spending time with them, giving them your full attention, that makes them feel the most loved.
Absolutely.
And so that is the third gift, or the third love language, I'm sorry. Then the words of affirmation is the fourth one. Those are the people who feel the most loved when you give them your words. You sing them a song. You offer them a poem. You write a card for them. You write letters to them. Anything that has to do with words that shows love toward them, that is speaking their language. And they feel the most loved and the most appreciated, and they are just built up by those words of affirmation that you give them.
Absolutely.
The last one is acts of service. Acts of service is where you are giving love to people by doing things for them, and you receive love in the same way by letting someone do something for you. Oftentimes that's hard for a person who speaks acts of service because they're the ones always doing. So to have someone do it for them makes it a little difficult for them sometimes. But anyway.
Because they tend to jump in and do it for you.
And do it anyway. Okay, so those are the general idea of what the 5 are. Now we're going to kind of go in depth about what they are. We'll start with gifts. The best example I know of is my sister and my daughter, my oldest daughter. They speak in the language of gifts. They receive in the language of gifts.
Yeah.
They are the happiest people. If you just think of them, put a little something in a bag, tie it up with a bow, and take it to them, they are so thrilled.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just makes them feel so loved. They love the packaging. They love that you thought of them. They love that you brought them a trinket. It doesn't even have to be like a diamond ring or something.
Right.
They would receive a diamond ring. We're not going to say they wouldn't receive it, but it doesn't really matter that it cost you a lot of money or
Right.
anything. It's just that you thought of them and you brought them something. And they thrive on that. They really thrive on that. They also give gifts really well. And when they bring gifts, it's the same way. They tie it all up in a bow. They make a big flourish about it. My sister especially is a big flourish over the gifts that she's giving because that's how she's loving.
Yeah.
And it's important to her that it goes with a big to-do about it. So
Yeah. Now let me say this as we go into the details of each of the gifts because that was really good. As we go into the details, if you find yourself doing this, oh yeah, that's it. You're probably that gift.
Yeah.
Just so you know, and we go to the detail of each one of the gifts. You're going to be, if you become the one nodding your head at that gift, it's probably what you have, more than likely. Anyway,
Right.
we will go right into the second one, which is physical touch. I'll jump on that because I'm the physical touch guy.
Right.
I love physical touch. I love holding my wife's hand. I love when she gives me massages and when she rubs my head. She loves to rub my head. At least she says she does. She's like, the only reason I have this is for her because I shaved this off and I grew this so she could play with my hair that I didn't have up here. And she loves it. And guess what? So do I.
Yeah.
You know, because it's physical touch.
Right.
And so anything, if she scratches my back, does anything, physical
Hugs,
touch.
kisses.
All the above.
Yeah.
Hold my hand. Anything like that. It's very uncommon for us to walk through some place and not hold hands. It's very uncommon for us not to be in a vehicle and have our hands being held while we're driving, unless I need my hand while we're driving. If she happens to be driving, which she doesn't like to do if I'm driving in the car, and hold my hand as well. But we physically touch. We actually purposely look at vehicles that we can touch physically by holding hands. I mean, it means that much to me, and she knows it does, and so we do that. So it's someone who, in everything that they do, enjoys the physical touch. You may find it with your kids when they're little. They may want to just be rough and tumble with you and play and wrestle and do all those things. That they're screaming for touch.
Yes.
They're wanting touch. They're wanting you to enjoy them in that way.
Right.
And nothing inappropriate. Just play, touch, grab, wrestle, tickle.
Cuddle.
All those things.
Yeah, all those things.
I've tickled, wrestled, fought with all my children. Some of them appreciate it a little bit more than the others. Just depends on if they have physical touch as their love language or not. The ones that do love it. The ones that don't, not so much. And you have to learn that. But physical touch is huge. If I'm talking to someone, I'm touching their hand, their arm, their shoulder. Maybe touch my hand to the back. I'm very much a hands-on person. Now, you have to be sensitive as a physical touch person. If you're listening to this and you're like me, that you love to touch anything and everything, if someone's feeling awkward, you got to learn to not touch at that point. Because there are people out there who are just the opposite of us, who want no touching whatsoever. And they complain about you touching them when all you're doing, and I don't even realize it sometimes, when I'm just, touching their hand, touching their arm, their shoulder.
Just put your hand on the shoulder.
Yeah, it's just a natural thing for me because I'm a physical touch person.
Right.
The best example I can give, and we joke about all the time, is Thumper from the movie Bambi, when he got his little ears rubbed and his feet.
Foot goes.
He starts going because she's rubbing his ear. And he's just a physical touch person. That's all there is to that. So if you're a Thumper, welcome to my world. And know that that's a God-given love language for you. Right.
And when you're using physical touch toward a person who is speaking that language, it just makes them full and feel just loved and cared for, and it's important to them. It's really important to them, so make sure that you give them a lot of that kind of love. We have a daughter, our oldest, who's the gifts girl. She is not physical touch.
She's an anti-touch girl.
She's really, she'll let us hug her and stuff, and it's okay, but she's not thrilled about that. And she wasn't even thrilled about that as a baby. She didn't want to cuddle. She wasn't a huggy, cuddly, sit on your lap kind of girl. That just wasn't her thing. and so she has grown up and still hasn't really acclimated to being a touch girl. She's just a gifts girl. So
later there will be a unit for people who are grandparents and are releasing their children into their purpose investing. I want to say this just as a tease towards that thing, that you get to watch things like my daughter has 2 children who love to snuggle and hug. I just find that great. So anyway, that's a teaser for things to come down the road.
Yeah,
It's
and we also will later down the road here we'll have a place where we talk about love languages that pertain to children.
Yeah, absolutely.
In particular, because there's a lot of things that go along with that that's different than just in your marriage.
Different nuances to that.
Yeah, we're referring to our children, but our children are mostly grown, and so they are good examples for us to use as we're talking to you. The third one is time.
Yep.
Quality time. Let's say from the beginning, quality time is also quantity time.
I would say that quality time is quantity time. I don't think you can separate the two. There are people who want to take and let's go create a 10-minute or 30-minute memory with my children and then go back to being separate, living separate lives. Let's go back to our devices, our tablets, our phones, our video players, our game player, whatever you do. And no, that is not the same thing as quantity time. I'm really kind of passionate for that. Time is one of my languages. It's not my primary.
Secondary one.
It's my, but I have found that when I neglect giving time to my children and to my wife, who really appreciate time and my time specifically, that they wane in their love tank very quickly.
Yes.
So you can't be done in just two 5-minute, 30-minute snippets. It takes an investment of time. She's probably going to tell you one of the things we'd like to do is get in the car and just go for a drive. And we tell the kids we need to get out of the house. We just need to have some time together. And that's not a 5-minute drive.
No.
And it's not just driving through McDonald's and getting a quick drink or going someplace and sitting down. No, we go for a long drive. It's 30 minutes to 2 hours, or sometimes the whole afternoon. We'll just drive around, look at houses, look at stuff, talk, visit. The time, and we don't have to talk about anything specific. It's not like an urgent matter.
Right.
We're just visiting.
Time can be spent together without actually, it really doesn't take talking about anything specific, or you can just be quiet and spend quality time together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is also a way to fuel the tank. Sometimes you just need time just to be in the same place with each other.
Yeah, my oldest son is definitely a time person, and so from pardon the expression, time to time, we will go to see a movie. And we don't talk. We chit-chat on the way to the movie. We chit-chat on the way back from the movie. But during the movie, of course, you talk during the movie, you get yelled at and kicked out. But we share popcorn, soda, we hang out, we watch the movie, and we enjoy the time together.
Right.
And he's good for months when we do that. Not that I don't give more time in between that. But he would be good for 2-3 months, just because I gave him that 2-3 hours of time on that given day. So time is important, and it's one of the things you can't get back.
Right.
2 of the love languages that we're going to be talking about. There's 5 things you can't get back when you do them. Actually, 3 of these love languages are the same way, and 3 of them are on here. You cannot give back something you've done. You cannot get back time, and you cannot get back the next one, which is words of affirmation. So once you've said or done something, you cannot return it. It doesn't come back. It just doesn't work that way. So the next one is words of affirmation, and it's huge. I'm going to talk about the negative side of that, because people whose love language is words, and they need the encouragement, they need to be cheered, they need to be told, way to go, attaboy, hey, you're beautiful, you're handsome, whatever the term is. Tell the girls are beautiful, the guys are handsome. That's in my world. If you're not in that world, sorry. Anyway, the negative is if you use words to tear them down, you can destroy them. How many times have you seen a parent so-called disciplining a child and telling them you're never going to amount to anything, you're never going to be any good, you're just like, you can't be. Those are words. For a child that has words of affirmations as their love language, you are destroying that child. So don't do that. Learn. Another reason you need to learn these love languages, so you know how to relate to your children. We're talking just spousal.
It even works that way with your spouse, though.
Absolutely,
if you have a spouse who is a words of affirmation person, and you constantly nag and tell them terrible things about themselves and
Yeah.
pull them down, you will not only ruin your marriage, but you'll just ruin them as a person, because those words of affirmation are what give them buoyancy in life, and
Yeah.
and make them float, make them be able to operate in the world. Words of affirmation are very, very important. We have our second daughter is a words person. She's so much a words person that her chosen occupation is author.
Yeah.
She writes words. She is all about the words. And with her, we can give her dad can walk in and give her a compliment, and she will beam for 3 days. It's just that important to her. The words come and they give her that feeling of appreciation, that feeling of she's been built up, and her love tank just rises right up to the top, and she is just able to function in such a better place.
Yeah.
So it works. The negative is a bad thing with words of affirmation, and the good is really good.
Yeah.
So you have to be really conscious of what words are you using. You should use good words towards your spouse no matter what.
Sure.
But if they're a words of affirmation person, they really need you to
Absolutely.
encourage them with your words. Encourage them, build them up. The last one is acts of service. Acts of service is what I am.
Yes.
And I come from a long line of people of acts of service.
Yes, you do.
My mom, my grandma, probably her mother. It's just, we are people who we do. We go and we help. If there's a need, we go and we offer our services. If somebody has an emergency, we are right there to help. If there's someone who needs a house cleaned, or they need a meal made, or we are just all about taking care of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so I speak my love out in acts of service.
Yep.
But I receive in acts of service, and I love it when the kids or Brian will do something for me if I'm out of the house and I come back and they've already taken care of something that's within my wheelhouse to do at home. That just really speaks love to me. They thought about me.
Mm-hmm.
They thought to do something for me. Oh, I'm so excited. That just makes me really, really happy and appreciated, and feel appreciated, and it makes my love tank grow, and I get full, and it's a good thing. Now, I will say too that as we have lived together for 30 years, we've kind of begun to share love languages. So
Sure.
I appreciate physical touch more than probably I did when we first got married, because I've lived with him for 30 years. That's his love language. So I've worked on speaking that language to him and receiving it then from him.
Yeah.
Same way with the acts of service. He likes it when I do things for him. When I take time to get something ready for him that he's going to need for a trip or for a business thing or something.
It's awesome because t-shirts, underwear, socks magically reappear into the drawer. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, we're back to the laundry. Anyway, so he really likes it when I do things for him, and so he's receiving in my love language. So we've actually learned to share that. I always teased when we first learned about love languages. I would give him a back rub, and that's his touch language, but I had to view it as it was an act of service for me to rub his back. Well, then I decided that could work the other way too. So I'd let him use his love language of touch, and he could rub my back, and I would receive it as an act of service. So it kind of worked both ways.
It did. It's fun. It's fun. One of the things, hopefully that helps to give you some details and more ideas on that.
Yeah.
We'll have the book available to you and the resources. But we want to address there's a couple more things for you quickly. That better? I thought so too. One thing, and we sort of touched base with it just for a moment.
Yeah.
But you may speak one language and receive another one.
Yeah.
So you may be someone who loves to give gifts, but you'd rather get time back.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or you may be someone who wants to give time, but you want to get gifts back.
Right.
And I'm just picking on a couple of them like that.
Yeah.
It could be any combination of that.
Sure.
And that's not weird. That's not odd. And you may, like we talked about, while we're talking about it, my primary love language is physical touch. My secondary is probably time. And then you can throw words of affirmation in there somewhere. Because I like it when you tell me, good job. But I don't live on that like my one daughter does.
Right. Yes.
I live on physical touch.
Right.
I really enjoy the time and a nice compliment goes a long way as well.
Sure.
So you may speak and receive the same or the different,
Mhm.
and that's okay.
Mhm.
And we said all this to say this, and Leslie was kind of touched on that a moment ago. You need to learn to speak your spouse's love
Yes.
language.
Yes.
It's one thing if I just came in all the time and demanded, the Leslie to rub my back, scratch my back, rub the goatee, whatever it is that I like for that, or demanded that she do all the things that she does in serving our household, and never ever ever return
Yeah.
the same thing and speak the languages back to her, to love her.
Yeah.
Then what I'm going to create is a very bitter woman. I'm going to create someone who's not happy and then I'm going to take the joy out of what she likes to do
Yeah.
as her gift giving,
Right.
her acts of service giving,
Right.
her time giving, her words giving,
Mhm.
all the things all the love language that she likes to give to me.
Mhm.
I'm going to take the joy of
Yeah.
those from her because I'm not fueling back her tank. I'm getting
Yeah.
my tank full, but she's
Right.
not getting her tank full. And what a selfish, self-centered way to live life.
I think there are some couples that I know of that the in my example it's the man. It could go the other way, but in my example it's the man. The man is trying to love his wife, so he'll bring flowers home to her all the time, but she could care less about flowers. So he's trying to love her, but he's trying to love her in a way that she doesn't
Right.
care about. It doesn't do anything for her. And so he's kind of like beating his head against a wall by doing that, and she's not receiving anything.
Right.
So she's not being built up because he's not trying to love her in the way she needs to be loved.
And he's getting frustrated because he thinks he's trying to love her,
Right.
but he hasn't taken the time to invest to learn something like what we're teaching
Right.
you,
Mm-hmm.
so he can love her in a way that she'll actually enjoy.
Right. Exactly. So that's why we really encourage you to learn about the love languages, figure out what you are, figure out what your spouse is, and practice doing things in the languages that speak something to your spouse. It took me a while to learn how to. They always talk about the physical touch people. They just love being petted. I don't know if that's what you want to call it, but rubbed. They just love. So I've learned over the years that one little rub on his arm while we're sitting watching a movie it makes him so happy. And it's not something that I would have normally done, but I just learned how to just sit with him and rub his arm. And it's not hard. It's not a hard thing. It's just something I had to condition myself to do to show him love. For him, he learned through the years how to get ahead of me, which is hard because I'm always on the move. But he learned how to get ahead of me and do something for me ahead of me doing it. He learned how to be able to be in front of the process and speak my language before I had a chance to just do something on my own, because it's acts of service. So it was out of his wheelhouse, but he learned how to use
absolutely.
that for me. So
Yeah. We hope that you got something out of all this today, out of this unit, and we got more to come, but we hope this is valuable to you,
yes.
and we're so glad that you were a part of it. Have any questions, just let us do like you always do. You can email us, text us, call us, in the contact information on Family Secrets, and we're looking forward to the next unit in this. We got one more small unit we want to share with you in this course, so we're ready to come back at Unit 4. So don't miss Unit 4 to finish out course number 3, The Secret to Growing Your Marriage. We will see you in the next unit. Promise.